Welcome, everyone, to the closing keynote. I'm Lucy Gray, and I'm the co-founder of Actionable Innovations Global and of the Globe Conference. And I've never keynoted the conference before, believe it or not, because usually I'm too tired. Um, and I'm more interested in hearing from you in general. So for the past several years, I have not been um, talking a lot. And tonight I want to share a few thoughts about the state of global education and what I'm thinking about these days. So I'm going to start with that. And then we're going to move into some thank yous to some very special people that have been part of this journey this week, actually for months now. And then hopefully we'll cap things off with maybe some comments from and questions from people about what's next and where we go from here. So that's our plan. And let me know if you're here, if you made it to the bitter end. Um, I'm going to look in the comments in a second and see if you're there. And hopefully you'll let me know if you've made it to the end, and we will I wish we could do confetti on this stage. We will throw some confetti for those who made it to the bitter end. So I'm going to present to you some ideas about why you're here. All right, great. Ryan and Stephen, yay. About where we go and why this is so important. And I really appreciate you all being here and staying to the bitter end. I'm going to go off camera, but you're going to hear my voice so you can see my slides a little bit better. So this is a presentation that I gave at another event that we did a few months ago, and I thought it would be a good reminder of why this work is more important than ever. It seems every time I've hosted a global education event, there's been some overhanging important reason for why this kind of work matters even more than maybe previous months or years. And this year is no exception. We're living in some challenging times, and um, hopefully hopefully we can make things a little bit better for our students and our children as they go forward. So as we know, when I talk about global education, I'm talking about globally connected teaching and learning. I'm talking about global competence. I'm talking about global citizenship education, whatever you want to call it. There's also education for all, which is a component of SDG 4 for sure. But I really want, education is educational technology is my wheelhouse. I've been a technology coach and a technology director at a school, and a middle school computer science teacher. So I really believe in the power of technology to provide a window to the world for students. And I want students to use technology in thoughtful and productive ways. Right now in the United States, there's a big backlash of too much screen time and too many devices and everybody being glued to their cell phones. Um, and I think that's partially because somehow teachers pedagogically, they're missing something in the foundation that so that they in their foundational teaching that would allow them to use the technology in interesting ways. I think that's part of it. I think there are a lot of reasons why, but I'm concerned that that backlash is not completely founded, and I want to see students use technology for good, for purposeful learning, and I'm sure you do too. So, in addition to these challenges, we're facing some philosophical ones too. I think that each of us needs to develop our own kind of elevator pitch or standard talking pieces of information that we throw at people when they start saying technology is bad or not needed, or global education is not needed. So that's one barrier that I haven't put into this presentation that I'm seeing a lot of right now. In the United States, we have some issues, including inadequate funding of global education. We're not the EU where global citizenship education activities are funded and it's part of the curriculum. We're not IB, which has a huge global thread to it and is really important. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But there's not enough funding or interested parties who are um, providing funding in the United States in the discussion and the forum for elevating this. And due to the pandemic, due to the current political situation here, global education has taken a back seat in the grand scheme of priorities. We're more worried about our math test scores than we are about our students being good human beings, in my view. And so that's another complicated issue as well. And then having time, and this is also ties into priorities for training and professional development and helping teachers get better pedagogically and in terms of building their own global professional learning networks so that they can do global projects and that sort of thing. It's just not a priority with school leaders when they're worried about whether their test scores are up or down, whether they're going to receive funding, whether they have there's so many other things, whether their buses are running, whatever it is, those things take priority over globally connected teaching and learning. And I'd like to see this moved up a little bit up that scale of priorities. And then another issue is lack of access to global learning resources. Where do people find the guidance and the resources to infuse a global perspective into their teaching? And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute too. So our students are going to inherit a world that's pretty complicated right now. I did a little bit of research, and 17% of the global sustainability targets are on track, which is a little concerning. There are a lot of displaced people in the world for various humanitarian crises, and there's a significant population that are living under authoritarian rule or close to it. And so we have a challenge. This is the world our kids are inheriting. Do we really want to leave that with them? How are they going to be prepared to meet these challenges, and what can we do to help? The state of democracy is an issue. I didn't realize until I started digging around, because democracy is in peril here in the US, that there are other countries who've been living under this duress for a long time. There are lessons to be learned from other countries about how we can activate more citizens and that sort of thing. So we need to, this kind of education is important to the future of democracies around the world. And by the way, we're doing another conference. It's cross-sector in January, focused on democracy and teaching citizens how to be more involved. So I hope you'll get involved with that. It's called Thrive, and it's pretty exciting. Howard Gardner is going to be our keynote, Dr. Howard Gardner from Harvard. He's going to be interviewed by his son, who's a friend of mine, and they're going to talk about what it means to be a good citizen. So we have some other exciting speakers that are lined up too for that. There's also, I think, very apparent in this conference, this youth engagement gap. They are socially active. They feel powerless to change the world. They don't feel like their voice is heard. And I think this is for adults and youth. There's a disconnect between concern and constructive action. How do we take what we know and see is going on and do something about it? What's within our realm of making a difference? And I think this also speaks to the messages of hope we heard at the conference this week. We need to lead people. That doesn't, that disconnect is probably due to a lack of hope, I'm guessing. So how do we empower youth to be change agents? I think there's a lot of work to do. How do we empower everybody to be change agents at this point? So what's at stake? Student relevance and engagement and learning, community resilience and problem-solving capacity, and the economic competitiveness in a global marketplace, which is my least favorite thing that's at stake. Like, we've been talking about how countries need to be globally competitive for a long time. Yes, but I think focusing on what's right for humanity, it first and foremost, is more important. So if we are not preparing students to be global citizens, we're neglecting the core mission of giving them the skills, knowledge, and mindsets to be active participants in an interconnected world. So I also believe that globally connected teaching and learning is not something that you have to do. That's in addition to the curriculum. It has universal appeal. And something that also came up in some of the sessions I was in, this is like the peak time between ages 5 and 18 for developing the habits of mind that are going to help students be active civically. And so I think that's something that's really important. And having a global perspective, it can help do those sort of things. So we also in the United States are faced with people saying, well, how is that going to help our kids learn math? And that sort of thing. We're really worried about very narrow measures of success. And this is something that was pulled from IB data. And I can't believe it's actually not more, it's not higher, but 82% of IB students are enrolled in college. They are stay in college more, they're more likely to stay in college and compared to the national averages in the United States. So I think this is important, that globally infused curriculum that's so beautifully done for the IB works. And so you can learn academics and learn to be a good global citizen at the same time. It's not, they're not mutually exclusive. So the elephant in the room is the climate that we're living in right now. From a US perspective, this is not about political indoctrination. This is not about being anti-American. It's being about pro-human. And we're not teaching wildly controversial content. I think that teachers who teach in this manner are focused on facts and scientific knowledge. And this is, fundamentally, we want students to be able to think critically and be aware of other paths that people may take in this planet. So I believe this kind of teaching makes students better citizens rather than different citizens. So you may be familiar with the term global competence, which people at Harvard and the Asia Society kind of coined, and it's been put into the test that comes, the PISA. And I don't know where it is right now with all of it, but it's really about values, attitudes, behaviors, skills that make up a global citizen. And this is, again, goes to some of the things I've already talked about. Why do we want to do this? We're living in an interconnected world. We're preparing students for their future. It's real world relevant learning. We're helping students develop multilingual skills and expanding their perspectives. Empathy and understanding seems to be on the downside, and this kind of teaching helps build that. And again, civic engagement, that's the really essential. These are the 4 pillars of global competence, according to the Asia Society, who originally coined these terms. There are other models out there. But if you have not seen this, I think these 4 pillars are really useful to kind of mapping out what you're doing in your school and in your classroom. Last summer, I worked with Creative Connections, who presented here on their art exchange curriculum. And we looked at their curriculum to see how it fit these 4 things. So you can do that too with whatever curriculum you're using. Are you infusing these kinds of ideas into how your lessons are structured? And there's also different ways that you can do this. You can infuse it into your curriculum. You can join intercultural projects, virtual exchanges. You can have an interdisciplinary approach to your curriculum. Using technology to connect to the world is also important. And then having and possibly doing challenge-based learning or project-based learning that will have a global perspective and help students actually take action is another way to go about it. So when I talk to teachers about how you go about this, I feel like the first stage is kind of infusing what you're already doing with global materials from various organizations. You can infuse lessons that have been developed by other people. There was a population nonprofit that presented here this week. Their materials are phenomenal. And, using those lessons that they've developed, you don't have to develop them yourself. You can use what's already available to you. There are lots of great projects from the Pulitzer Center around writing that you could join. And the other piece of this too is being part of virtual exchanges like Creative Connections, or I'm trying to think of some other ones. There are lots of them out there. IEARN's virtual exchange work. The Stevens Institute uh, is also been a big promoter of virtual exchanges and a source of finding out more about them. So that's another one where you're paired with another classroom, and your students develop various skills through very structured activities that connect your classrooms. I also think that finding partnerships with different organizations, and locally and nationally, is really important too in supporting globally connected teaching and learning. So looking at all those different kinds of phases is really important. Maybe you start out with infusing things a little bit, and then you move on to joining an existing project, and then maybe the third thing is, once you get comfortable in this with this mindset, you develop your own projects that you invite people to participate in. One way of looking this too, from an academic standpoint, is aligning to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I think this makes a really nice framework for teachers, and we've seen a lot of work in the last few years of teachers doing that. You can also, in the United States, actually, this is supposed to be international. International Society for Technology and Education is the ed tech group, and they recently acquired ASCD, which is the big curriculum group here in the US. And some of the standards for ISTE for students and for teachers focus on globally oriented topics. So if your principal is saying, well, how is this relevant to what we're doing? You can say, well, this meets the ISTE standards, or this meets the NGSS standards for science. And there's some global recognition in there of topics. Even the NCTE, which is our English and Language Arts group, there's some area where they're tying into diverse perspectives and critical thinking and communication, which is a big part of global competence. Even the math organization in the United States has some key areas in their standards which can be aligned to global competence. So, this is how I think that schools should approach this. Identify the teacher champions in your district who are doing interesting things, and support them and elevate them. Integrate global perspectives into existing programs. Map out what your school is doing that lends itself to this mindset, and then develop community partnerships locally and nationally that will support the kind of teaching and learning you want to see, and build on what's working. You don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel. Um, and maybe you have some core programs that you want to develop further, and that's good. Sometimes adding more to the plate of programs in a school is not necessarily beneficial. Sometimes weeding and improving them can deepen the learning. So, you know, if we want globally competent students, we also need to have globally competent teachers. There are tons of programs out there for teachers in the United States to travel and participate in exchange programs. The NEA Foundation, which I've done a little bit of work for, has one for schools that are in uh, NEA districts. It's a teachers union. There is the Fulbright Teacher Exchange. There's other ones out there. So that's one way too to grow. If you want to have globally competent students, foster it in your teachers as well. And then finally, and then we'll get to the more fun stuff. Um, this is one of my favorite quotes from John Dewey. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. And I think that's why somebody asked me recently, why are you still interested in this? I think, my kids are now 23 and 27, and I'm not sure if they had too many opportunities in school to work on any kind of global collaborative project. And they're going to be fine, and they're good kids and young people. But I really wish they had had more opportunities to uh, be exposed to more different kinds of people, different attitudes. I would have liked to have seen them do more project-based learning where they were involved in um, co-creation and co-design. Selfishly, I thought about my own kids and that if they're ready to be out in the working world. But it's also, I for me, it's also been about the technology that I don't think we're leveraging technology as fully as we can to do interesting things to connect people around the world. And then finally, I do some work with the Charter for Compassion, which is one of our sponsors. And the executive director of the charter ran my student teaching program 35 years ago. And Marilyn, who spoke here last year, taught a class that was in multiculturalism as part of my student teaching program. And those underlying principles and the things that I learned from that class have carried me till today. And that really kind of piqued my interest back in the day. And I just believe that this is the way to help change happen. And that, it's, I think one of the messages I got from people at this conference this year was, we can't give up, we have to have hope, and we have to keep trying. And I think education is the way to do that. So enough of my little lecture. That's my commentary for the conference. And I oops, here I am. I'm back on stage. And I'm going to share my screen and show you a couple of things that are going to happen next. So first, and my dog is here to say, Mom, come take me for a walk. I'm going to share my screen and show you a couple of things that I think are really cool. So the first thing is, so if you are a paid ticket holder, one of the resources that's going to be shared with you is something new that I've been working on. And as an ed tech person, I hope you can all see this. This is a tool called Notion. I don't know if there are any Notion users out there. I think you can get free educator ones. I pay for an AI version of it, or it has AI built into it. And I'm building a database of globally connected learning resources. And some people have submitted things. I'll give you the link to the form if you want to submit something. And it's pretty comprehensive. And you can see I've been adding things, like I added green schools today during Jennifer Seidel's presentation. And it's not going to be complete ever, probably. It's going to be it's going to take a while to be completely done. But basically, I can bookmark. There's a little bookmarking tool in Chrome. I can bookmark resources to it, and it shows up here. Or I can manually put things in, or somebody can submit a form with it. And so this is what it looks like. There's a description. There's a place to put the author's name in, the kind of resource. I'll make it full page here. And it's tagged automatically with keywords that I put into this database using AI. This particular one was submitted by Heather Singmaster at Digital Promise. And so this is searchable. You can look at it in different views. This is by the type of artifact it is, a book, a blog, a certificate program, you name it. They're mapped to the SDGs through AI. I'm not sure how accurate that is. And then you can also see like the new ones that have been added recently. So there are different views of all these resources, and it's also searchable and filterable, if that's a word, over here on the right-hand side. So that's one of the things that's going to be coming to paid ticket holders. This is something I've been working on. It's a work in progress, so be patient with it. The other resource I want to show you that I think is like the bee's knees, and I'm working on a version of what I'm going to show you, is Google Notebook LM. And I'm a big generative AI person. And I know it's not everybody's thing. I know it can be environmentally impactful. But I am interested in the potential of it. And this is one of the tools that I think is pretty amazing. So with my Lucy at Lucy Gray Consulting email, I created this notebook, and I put in over 200 resources around globally connected teaching and learning. And Those are on the left-hand side. And then in the middle is a chat bot where suggested conversations or suggested prompts are provided. Um, and you can click on one of the prompts and it will start creating a research brief, basically, based on the resources on the left-hand side of the page. And it doesn't search the whole internet and everything. It's just the stuff that I um, it's just the stuff that I have in here. And so here's the detailed response from it. And it gives you links to where it got that it cites that resource. And then you can save it into as a note and it will go over into your studio over here. So you can put your own prompt in, you can use some of the prompts that are here. But that's kind of the I'm going to clear my chat history. This is one part of it. Now, the part that gets really bananas is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Is the studio, and just today I learned you can make all these different artifacts in here, and one of the artifacts, for example, is like an interactive fake podcast. So when you click on the audio, oh, it's already generating. I didn't want to generate another one. I'll show you one that exists maybe. Well, we'll see if it pops up. So you can generate audio overviews, video overviews, mind maps, reports of all different types, and you can customize them and you can do them in different languages. Flashcards, quizzes, infographics, and slide decks. The infographic and the slide deck feature is brand new. And the idea behind this, and I know Christina did a presentation on this in Spanish. The idea behind this is that, students can put their course content in there and generate information that will help them learn in different ways. I suggested it to my 23-year-old college student, and he wanted nothing to do with it. But that's one way to do it. If you want to see on Google's page for this, there are some examples of other ones. You don't have to have 207 resources in it. Some of their examples only have 30 of open source Shakespeare plays and that sort of thing. So you can put whatever you want in here. And so here is, this is, I just did this today because it's brand new. This is, can I make it bigger? This is a blueprint for global competence, educating in a connected world. And it built this map for me. And this is coming from the research I put in here. I think I've also put the keynotes in here from previous glows. So it synthesizes all that information and produces something that I might be able to use in a presentation or to show people why this is important. Isn't that wild? And it's downloadable, it's shareable. But here's the thing. If you're doing this like in your school's domain, I don't know how this will work. I can't share this with anyone other than people that have a Lucy Gray LucyGrayConsulting.com email, which aren't many other people. It's limited to people who are in my domain. And I wish they would change that. I don't know why it's that way. So you want to do this with a free Google account, with one that's not tied to an institution, if you want to make it shareable for other people. Then today I also did a presentation, and this is what it looks like. I'm not sure I like the design of it particularly, but it's interesting. I'm not a big fan of beige in general. But it's putting together, synthesizing some of the information that I was mentioning earlier. So it's not the be all and end all of everything, but I was just blown away by that. And the one artifact that is just really interesting to me is the podcast one, which is interactive. You can pause and ask the AI a question about the material, which is mind-boggling. So if you are I'm making one that's kind of glow oriented, and hopefully I'll have it done by the time I send out kind of a final email with resources for you guys to the paid ticket holders. But I wanted to give you kind of a preview of this, and hopefully you'll find it useful. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and see if there are any questions about that, and then we'll move on to thank yous and that sort of thing. Oh, you didn't see it? Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't do it. I just said, oh my gosh, and my dog went bananas. Hang on. Let me see. I can't believe I wasn't sharing this. Share screen. Oh, both of these things I was sharing, and then you couldn't see anything. All right. It should be sharing. It should be sharing to StreamYard. Oops. Can you see it? All that talking and no talking. That is so strange. Why can it not show? Huh. Oh, this is going to drive me crazy. So I'm sharing a tab. After all this, you would think I would know how to do it. I'm sharing a tab. Oh, I wonder if okay, you saw the database, but not the notebook. Okay, got it. All right, so let me change tabs. That's the problem. Sorry. Okay, so here's the notebook. I'm going to share this tab instead. So now you should be able to see it. Got it? Share the whole screen. All right, let's just do that. It should be showing you the thing. I hate sharing the whole screen because it kind of goes goofy, but all right, let me try again. All right, share screen, entire screen. But see, that's what it does. I don't like that when I do that. But here, let me go to the right tab. Okay. So if I can't go back to StreamYard and see your comments if I do this. If I do a tab, then I can. So let me do that. The tab thing worked, right? Okay. Stop. Share screen. This is the notebook. And it should be there. Okay. So the left-hand side is where you see the resources. Yeah, it's like an infinite glow. You're right. And I just think it would be really interesting to take all of our, if I had all the time in the world, Ryan, I would like to take all the sessions and put them on YouTube and put them in here. It would be awesome, but I don't have the time and the energy. Well, I do have the energy, but I don't have the time. And then the chat is where you ask the questions. Let me reconfigure this a little bit. You can stretch out the different parts of it. So here's where you can ask different queries about it. And I've just found it, I find AI tools useful for synthesizing information quickly, for aligning content that I want to do. So for example, I work part-time in a library, and I teach a lot of technology classes. It's a long story. But I wanted to align what we were doing to the strategic plan for this library. And it helped me do that so that I could start thinking about what courses to offer. So I look at generative AI, as a thought partner. And I think we could spend a lot of time talking about a lot of different issues related to it, but it's been incredibly helpful to me, especially with Glow too. And then the area that I didn't show you was that I suppose I didn't show you because I wasn't screen sharing correctly. This is the studio with the different things you can make. So this is the podcast.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are strapping in for, well, a deep dive into the very definition of modern education. Specifically, we're focusing on how schools are supposed to turn students into global citizens. Our mission today is to understand how global citizenship education, or GCED, and intercultural competence development are fundamentally redefining what it means to be educated in the 21st
So then
century.
you can
We're moving
listen
far
to
beyond
this
just measuring how well
big
you read or
podcast. You can
calculate.
download
The new
it.
metrics are all about global readiness.
You can
And that
download
shift
it.
it's urgent.
And so then it's also interactive. So I can turn this on and join it and ask these two hosts a question, and they'll pull up an answer. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So that's what the audio overview is. This is the presentation that was created today, because that's a brand new thing that they rolled out. I happened to see it on Twitter, and made this presentation for me, which I'm not crazy about the design, but it's putting something together that kind of gives me, um, another way of looking at things. And then the last thing that I showed you before I realized that I was not showing you anything, was the infographic. And I can probably, email this to you if you want it to. But anyway, and you can blow it up. Oh, I didn't see this, and move it around. Um, and I really like the infographic piece, because I think making an infographic with AI tools has been challenging in general. I've tried a couple tools and it hasn't been great. So you can customize these things a little bit more than just generating. Under reports, they let you, create all different kinds of artifacts that are more written oriented. And there's a little bit of there's more customization than there was at the very, very beginning. um, and if you do, there should be a custom one. I thought there was a custom one here. I guess these are kind of custom. You can go in and you can edit these. These are suggested formats. So you go in, you can choose your language and describe what you want it to do, and it's going to do it in whatever language. So here they're suggesting a plan outlining pedagogical shifts and innovation strategies for 21st century education. And I'm going to do it in German. And then I can describe more what I want, and then I click on generate and it goes. And that artifact will be here on the right hand side. They've been doing video explainers, which I really like too. And so here's one that's a video explainer.
All
Um,
right, let's jump right in. Today, we're tackling a huge question.
Let me go in. I mean, it sounds a little bit like the podcast. Let me
When
see
you're
if I can.
facing down these huge challenges of division on one side and inequality on the other, you realize we can't just keep doing things the same old way. We need a new vision for learning, which brings us to the essential what. What are we actually aiming for? And at the heart of this new vision is this incredible idea called
So, is this gonna deepen student learning? I don't know. But if you need artifacts in order to explain things to people that's research based, this might be a tool for you. Okay. So I hopefully you saw that, and that was helpful. So where's the link? Okay, it did show up, right? Okay. Sorry, Stephen, if you're lost. Let me get on stage again. Okay, so now nope, this is the link for Notebook. I'll put it up here. Thank you, Ellen. And you can create your own. Just be careful that if you do it with a school one, you may not be able to share it with other people outside of your domain. So I've made some public ones in my other public regular email that are shareable, and I'm making one for you guys that will be sent along with the final kind of information about the conference. So I hope that clarifies it. And you may want to when you click a link, I didn't see anything resembling your screen. So I don't know where you were clicking exactly. I'm sorry, Stephen. I can send you. I'll be sending you a version of this so you can take a look at it. Okay. So sorry if that wasn't the perfect demo. I was very excited about these different tools, and I hope that you'll find them useful as well. So let's get to like what's next. What do we do now? What's going to happen with all this content? Um, First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who presented and everyone who's been in the rooms actively engaging. You guys, Stephen, Ryan, um, Ellen, you guys, Star earlier has been here quite a bit. Thank you for being part of this community and sharing your work and being actively engaged. We really appreciate it. I felt like things were a little quiet in the rooms, like there were people in a lot of the featured and keynote sessions, but they were kind of quiet. And I'm not sure why. So I would love to dig into that. And there are two evaluations that are coming. One is built into the system. There was a midpoint survey, like a very short thing, and then an ending one that will pop up when the event comes to a conclusion. But then there's another survey that I'll send to you that's a little bit more in depth that I would love your feedback on how we can improve Glow. And I think there's still room for improvement, but this is like the year I felt like the presenters were the most prepared. I was a little worried about that because I did training sessions and I didn't see some people. But I think people were the most prepared, and we had the least amount of technical glitches, which is usually is the problem with sharing your camera and sharing your microphone. That seems to be what trips people up if they don't run the pre-event check or they don't enable it in their security settings in Chrome. That seems to be trips people up, and I didn't see a ton of that this year. So I think we're getting better at learning this platform and making the most of it. And I know there's more that we could do. And I think doing one big event a year is not enough. Like maybe we need to do smaller events periodically. And if anybody's interested in collaborating on future events, please let me know. I have a agency license for Ring Central events. I pay for part of it, and the Charter for Compassion pays for the other half of it. Which allows us to do custom events for people as well for other organizations. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And our next conference is called Thrive, and it's taking place in January. Again, it's a democracy-oriented conference. And then we'll have the Compassionate Action Conference in May. So there might be some more coming along, but those are other ones that you can get involved with if you're interested. Both of those conferences will be more cross-sector than just education. There'll be education parts of it, but it will be cross-sector. I'm trying to think what else. I also need to give a huge thank you to our sponsors. I hope that you were able to stop in and meet some of them. Peace Tracks, SOFLA. I love the SOFLA method. If you didn't see Helene's presentations, go back and watch the recordings. I think her methodology for teaching online is spot on and really thoughtful. And she has a book coming out in the spring from University of Michigan Press. We have Peace Tracks. I loved their presentation this morning where we used we actually created music. Who else? Institute for Humane Education really knows how to reach out to people during the conference. They make the most of this opportunity with presenters from all over the world that work with them. I love their solutionary framework, and they're just a really good group of people. So I hope people will connect to them and see how you can possibly collaborate or take a class from them or whatever. And then I know Digital Promise. The Sienna Solutions Challenge is phenomenal project-based learning or challenge-based learning, and there's lots of opportunities there. So make sure that you look at that opportunity for your students, plus their Youth Made conference. They do kind of a Youth Made. I think the hashtag is Youth Made. It might have a different name now. I can't remember, but they celebrate student work on different platforms. I think in the spring. So please take a look at their resources and their opportunities. Digital Promise, if you're not familiar with them, is a big ed tech research group here in the United States that was founded by Karen Cater. Karen Cater was she was one of the people involved with the Apple Distinguished Educator community for a long time, which I'm a part of. And then she went to work for the Department of Education under Obama. And then she started Digital Promise, and it's really grown. So they have 5 million different initiatives. And the Sienna Solutions Challenge is one of their global projects. So I hope that you'll take a look at their work. And then the Charter for Compassion, we do cross-sector work with on different peace and social justice act kinds of activities. We have a monthly EdNet forum where we'd love to feature educators and organizations doing work in education. So I can always talk to you more about that. So what's going to happen next is the recordings will be available for everyone through tomorrow morning, my time. And then I process the videos. I make sure all the videos are processed, and I put them in a separate space for the people that have access for a year, the paid access. And then I turn off the replay in the conference system. So the conference platform will be open, for you to go in and still look around. I will send a quick email tonight, thanking everyone, and then a more detailed one next week. If you were a presenter or a paid ticket holder, then I also send certificates of attendance, or a way to get certificates of attendance for you as well. So those things are coming. Give me a week or so to kind of get that up. Presenters will also get a copy of their video, and they can do whatever they want with it. If you want to put it up on YouTube or use it in a course, or however you see best, we would love you to do that. We would love for you to do that. So that's what's coming next. And then finally, what time is it? How are we doing for time? I talk a lot, don't I? I'm wondering if there's any feedback or ideas or questions that you guys have going forward. Yeah, Star, Digital Promise is awesome. And thank you, Ryan, too, for being part of this. And my email is Lucy@Lucy Gray Consulting. And you can bug me with anything, anytime. And yeah, the platform seems to work well, Ellen. And I'm going to put your comment up here. I've invested a lot of time in learning it, so I feel like I know it pretty well. And what's nice about it on the back end, they've improved how I publish the videos. I used to have to manually go in and clip something and then publish the clip and whatever. It's gotten a lot better. And they also have an AI generator that will generate social media clips with text in them. And it's pretty unbelievable. And there's something coming called a creator studio or something that's coming, and I don't know what that is, but that's a new thing that they're doing. If you notice this year, there was a docs tab in the event chat and in the session chats and in the stage chat where people could upload documents to be downloaded. Not many of our presenters took advantage of that, but I like that feature. And you can see it on the event chat. I put up a couple documents for people. So I think that was really useful. And the certificates of attendance, I wish we could do CEU Star. If we could find a university partner or somebody who could issue something a little bit more formal, that would be it didn't show up under sessions, Ryan. That's weird because I see it from my perspective. That's so weird. So anyway, certificates of attendance, I wish we could do more concentrated, more official kinds of ways of recognizing people's time here. I think that would draw more people. The one thing I will say about this year's conference too, our attendance was much further down than it has been other years. The first year I did it, we had 1,100 people. Then maybe 800, maybe 800 last year. And this year we had maybe close to 600. And about 60% of those people show up online for live stuff, which is kind of the industry norm from what I understand from Ring Central events. There are all sorts of really cool analytics on the back end that I can look at, and it helps me make decisions about what works and what doesn't work. And MELP is that was the SOFLA group, right? Yeah, Star, I would love to do that. I also tend to do this kind of thing. We've tried to have committees for conferences before, and it's still a lot of hard. I don't know, it's hard to do. And I would rather have this be a more collaborative effort in terms of planning. Somebody had suggested to me last year to get going earlier and put the word out. And I did this year. I started everything in January, believe it or not. And I didn't get a lot of response from people. And I don't, I know we're living in kind of a weird time. So, and people are kind of emotionally stressed. Um, but I'm a little flummoxed by, uh, I think this is incredibly valuable and organic and real. Um, because it's a community effort, I'm a little perplexed by the attendance. I'm a little perplexed by other organizations not getting involved. So, and you took the last 2 days off of work so you could do more. Oh my gosh, Martha, that makes my heart sing. Oh my gosh. And Martha, somebody said to us, when Steve Hargadon and I were working together years ago, and we had Howard Gardner be interviewed by his son then too. This is a long time ago, like 2013. Somebody in the United States, it wasn't, someone in a far-flung corner of the world, said, I would never be able to go to this kind of PD where I work, where I live, for geographical reasons and also for cost reasons. And so I felt like she said, I feel like I had a front seat row, I was in the front seat of a Howard Gardner lecture because of this. So I think that's the accessibility of information and of a network is, I think, really vital to to being a global educator, right? And so I really fervently believe that this kind of thing is great. The other Julie Lindsay alluded to this. I knew Julie. I've known Julie for a long time, and uh, and I had the pleasure of going to Beijing to Learning 2 one year and being a facilitator because of her and other people. One of the things that she alluded to was that, 15, 20 years ago, I guess, yikes, there was this great community of people around the world who were blogging and tweeting and sharing best practices. We all knew each other. We all supported each other. We were all ed tech people because I think we believed in the power of technology to connect people. And that world has changed. Everybody's kind of in their own little corner now. A lot of people have become consultants and are doing their own self-promotional thing. And ed tech is getting kind of a bad name right now. I don't in the United States, there's a lot of pushback about cell phones in classrooms and drill and practice software, and screen time and um, so that's a conundrum too. Is how do we get people excited again and want to be part of this, whether it's virtual, whether it's asynchronous or synchronous. I don't know. Let's see what else. I'm on the fence about regarding the platform. Okay. You got where you had to, but it was not smooth. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more, Stephen? Was it bumpy? Was it hard to find sessions? What was the hiccup? That's good feedback. Oh, and making the application shorter. Okay, Lucy, that's also something I can do. Yes. Yeah, I did put a lot in there. I tend to be a little overwhelming, Lucy. So I guess people should get a badge just for making it through the application process. Um, so yes, we can do that. Um, Definitely can streamline that for sure. And oh, Star, you took 2 days off too. Wow. Okay. Well, this was a lot of the PD becomes a sales pitch for paid programs. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know. And it's people are desperate. People who have organizations where, they depend on business from schools, they're trying to figure out the way to sell to schools, I guess. And yeah, so um it's tricky. Okay, so much of the tech that you guys seem to flow with isn't obvious to me. And Stephen, I had a friend text me in the middle of the opening keynote, maybe saying, "How do I leave a comment?" It was No, it was somebody who was asking people to leave comments, but it was early on in the conference, and he sent me a screenshot, and he had the right window collapsed, so he couldn't see the chat where everybody was conversing. And that, yeah, that's a stumbling block. It wasn't obvious to him that there's like a little arrow that you use to collapse and that sort of thing. So I did develop some step guides with Scribe that are on the front page. Again, it's like too much information. Like, who's going to go through that in the middle of a conference? But that kind of gave some orientation to the platform. I think that's critical, is giving people time to go in and get used to the platform ahead of time. Yeah. And this thing that I have on the front page is a step-by-step kind of thing. And I also try to Stephen, I work with also a lot of people in my library job who are not necessarily love technology as much as I do, let's put it that way. And so this stuff, a lot of stuff is a mystery to them. And thinking about how to simplify it, make it user friendly, it's a tough thing because everybody's at a different level. And I also think that tech companies don't think about usability enough. Like, I work with a lot of like 80-year-olds who have iPhones and they don't know how to reset their password. And it's or they get flummoxed by the whole process because they have to do so many things with it, so many hoops they have to jump through. So I don't think that I don't know if there's a magic solution to usability issues in general, but I think I'd like to see companies be more thoughtful in their design and be more cognizant of people's different learning styles when it comes to digital learning. So, we could do um, we could do other conferences that are smaller in scale too, that might be a little bit more manageable. This is a lot. This is 100 sessions over this week. Am I the only one doing the tech thing? What do you mean, Star? Um, there are a lot of ed tech people out there that are doing things and that sort of thing. Thank you, Samaya, for coming. And it's the top of the hour, so I don't want to keep anybody. I don't want to keep everybody too much longer. But your feedback is really appreciated, either here or in an email or through the forms that we're going to send. And if we form a committee or something, I would love some of you to be part of that. And if you stuck around to this long, somebody said something about Padlet. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, I totally agree. I love Padlet. My favorite tools are open-ended tools that will let you do other things. So Padlet is one, Book Creator is another. You don't need you don't need ABC Mouse. You need things that are going to allow kids to create and connect and do things on their own. So Martha, I'm totally with you on that. And I don't see enough creativity tools that are new. Like, I don't see anything new being developed. So I still go back to kind of the standard ones that have been tried and true for a while, like Padlet keeps on adding stuff every time. It gets better and better and better. I cannot live without Padlet. I use it with grown-ups. I use it with kids. Oh, I don't work with kids anymore, but I still use it in my library teaching. Great, best tool ever. So, if there are topics for other conferences that you'd like to see that you would come to, I would love to know that as well. What kinds of things are of interest to you? We did do an A1 a couple years ago. I think there are 5 million AI things going on, so I'm not particularly interested in doing an AI conference, but if we had a different spin on it, I think that could be interesting. But any feedback you have, um, please let me know. Send me an email, and if I don't respond, get back to, I'll keep bugging me. Things are a little bit busy right now. But I'm looking forward to this weekend, because tomorrow after work, I'm going to see Rachel Maddow and Tim Snyder, who is an expert on authoritarianism, speak in Chicago. So that's my end of the week treat for this. Um, and uh, um, and oh, and here's something here from Star. Um, Oh, am I the only tech person here? No, there were other people. I had a student that I've been mentoring at the college I went to. He came and helped. His name was Super Tim. You guys might have seen him. He's from Bangladesh and just an amazing student. Um, there was my colleagues from the Charter for Compassion, Felipe and Anam were helping yesterday. There were supposed to be 2 people today helping, and they both had emergencies. So that's my on me, because I should be lining people up. The other thing I need to do better is we did have volunteers this year, but nobody signed up to book their volunteering gig. Or one person did, and I just didn't follow up. I didn't have time. So improving the volunteer experience definitely is on my list of things to do. But basically today and this afternoon, from 10 a.m. my time till now, I've been checking on rooms and making sure everything goes. But it wasn't too bad. Everything was manageable. The biggest problem was StreamYard acted very strangely during the digital promise session, and I had to switch to the stage that comes with Ring Central events, and it worked fine. I don't know what happened with StreamYard. It was very bizarre. So so anyway, yes, I typically am I could use more technical help always. It doesn't hurt to have more people helping, more cooks in the kitchen. Okay. Um, so please, I hope people found somebody to collaborate with, and let's think about how we can all work together to do more events. As long as I can do as many events as I want to with this platform, you know, and I want to make it affordable and accessible, but at some point I need to be able to pay for the platform too. So thank you so much. Thank you to Christina Velasquez for arranging for the Spanish session. She does a phenomenal job with that group. They are so good. Um, and I really appreciate all the effort that they put into things as well. And to our fabulous keynotes, thank you for your time and your expertise. And I hope that everybody goes back and looks at the recordings for the keynotes will be on our YouTube channel too. So those will be open to everyone. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good weekend and stay in touch, please. Okay. Good night or good day, wherever you are.